Senator Martinez's willingness to join me in trying to bring the immigration debate towards the sensible center. Obviously, he tells one of the more powerful stories of immigration of anybody in the Senate, and to be able to work with him is a great honor. Both of us come to this debate with a special appreciation for the immigrant story in this country. Senator Martinez's own life story is a moving example of why an open nation helps itself by being open. And many of you know my father was from Kenya, although he never became a U.S. citizen. His capacity to come and study and learn here in the United States not only benefited him, but I think helped to build bridges between the United States and other countries. We believe that when the Senate takes up immigration reform in February, we'll be able to work towards a pragmatic, comprehensive reform that's based on the strong foundation that's already been built by the bills that were presented by Senators McCain and Kennedy, as well as Senator Hagel. I know that Senator Specter is going to be taking the lead on this in the Judiciary Committee in terms of putting together a markup, and Senator Martinez and myself have humbly requested that, although we're not on the committee, that we are able to participate in these negotiations. We all agree on the need to better secure the border and to punish employers who choose to hire illegal immigrants. We are a generous and welcoming people here in the United States, but those who enter the country illegally and those who employ them disrespect the rule of law, and they are showing disregard for those who are following the law. We simply cannot allow people to pour into the United States undetected, undocumented, unchecked, and circumventing the line of people who are waiting patiently, diligently, and lawfully to become immigrants in this country. So that's why we need to start by giving agencies charged with border security new technology, new facilities, and more people to stop, process, and deport illegal immigrants. Having said that, securing the borders alone does not solve immigration management. We're going to have to better manage legal immigration in order to end illegal immigration. Senators McCain and Kennedy point us in the right direction on that point. Right now, we've got millions of illegal immigrants who live and work here without knowing their identity or background. That's part of the reason that we need a guest worker program to replace the flood of illegals with a regulated stream of legals who enter the United States after checks and with access to labor rights. Part of the reason that illegal immigration is so damaging is that it ends up creating a pool of workers with depressed wages and no rights, and that's not something that we find acceptable. American employers also need to take responsibility. Too often, illegal immigrants are lured here on the promise of a job, only to receive unconscionably low wages. In the interest of cheap labor, unscrupulous employers look the other way when employees present fraudulent U.S. citizenship documentation. These acts hurt both American workers and immigrants whose sole aim is to work hard and get ahead. And that's why we need a simple, foolproof, and mandatory mechanism for all employers to check the legal status of new hires. Let me repeat, we need strong border security at the borders, but we also need a virtual border that is created by employers having to check to see if these people genuinely are legally in this country and should be working. Finally, and this is the third principle that I think is most important, if we hope to bring the 11 million existing undocumented workers out of the shadows into the open, we have to give them a reason. I am sympathetic and I understand people's frustrations with respect to those who have come here illegally. But we have to understand that they are now here, they are paying taxes, they are raising families, many of their children are U.S. citizens who were born here and are going to school here. And if we are going to get some handle on that population, then we've got to give them some incentive in order to come out into the open. This means that we're going to have to grant them some sort of interim legal status to work with the opportunity to eventually earn citizenship. Now, we can do this without amnesty by imposing a hefty fine for having entered illegally into our country and by forcing the undocumented to go to the back of the line in their pursuit of citizenship. The interim status should be open only to those who are already here so as not to open the door for others. Now, when this discussion comes up about what to do with respect to the existing illegal immigrants who are here, oftentimes people will point to the last amnesty program that existed, and they'll indicate it did no good. It did not work. All it did was give some people amnesty, and then you had a new flood of immigrants coming in. I recognize those frustrations. It is incumbent upon us to make sure that this three-pronged approach goes forward simultaneously and effectively. Part of the reason that that old amnesty program did not work is because there was no meaningful employer sanctions. They did not take seriously the job of making certain that they were not hiring illegal immigrants, and we did not put enough money into border security. But we simply cannot claim to have dealt with the problem of illegal immigration if we ignore the illegal resident population or pretend that they are going to leave voluntarily. That is not going to happen. Some of the proposed ideas in the House that's being debated today and tomorrow call for only increased enforcement at the borders and at the workplace. If the policy we end up with tells these immigrants that they will never be good enough to become Americans, then the policy will not work. Part of ending illegal immigration will have to be reforming legal immigration to better reflect our demands for immigrant workers. So let me just close by saying this. We believe successful comprehensive immigration reform can be achieved by combining some of the strongest elements of Chuck Hagel's border security proposals with the realistic workplace and earned citizenship program that's been proposed by Senator McCain and Kennedy. I know that Chairman Specter has all kinds of good ideas himself. Senators Cornyn and Kyle have also been working on this issue. We don't anticipate that we are going to be able to do any of this alone. I think that all of us recognize we're going to have to work in partnership, Republican and Democrat, to come up with something that works. But if we do, if we come up with some new ideas and try to eliminate some of the rhetoric and dogmatism that so often is applied to this issue, that I'm confident that we can come up with the kind of program that makes sense for Americans and will strengthen our country. So with that, let me stop, and we'll take any questions that people may have.
Senator Martinez, your Republican colleagues in the House are making a decision now not to take the comprehensive approach that you're recommending. Some of the leaders are assuring folks who share your view about a comprehensive approach